Hello, hello, everyone. We are back. It's been a couple of weeks. And I think this is going to be, our podcast is going to be much more regular because we're in that time of year where we're getting all the good stuff finally. Pam, we've been doing this a while.
Yep.
And I know that the studios tend to, backload the year with all their awards-worthy stuff the last couple months. But this year seems to be even worse for that. I mean, if you had to ask me to name an award-worthy or really good movie that's come out the first 10 months this year, I could come up with maybe one.
Okay.
I mean, it's really been a drought.
I think so too. I think there have been more than one, maybe two.
All right. Okay.
Not as many as there should be by this point in the year. I absolutely agree. Do you think some of that is because we're still suffering the ramifications of the writer's strike?
I don't know. I would think we're past that, but I don't know. I don't know how the ripple effect of that. But it just seems as though I've been searching for a really, really good movie. And the only one I can think of was a movie I know you didn't see and no one saw, an independent film called Sorry Baby, which I absolutely loved. And I hope you get a chance to see it.
I hope I do too, because I know you raved about that one. And can people see that one in some way now?
You know what? While we're talking, I'll get a chance to look it up and see if it's available streaming or somewhere.
Okay.
But it's the type of movie that you and I and other critics need to champion because it had no publicity, the budget was small, and word needs to get out on that.
Okay. One that I really enjoyed was The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Yes, I liked it. I liked it as well. That was a good one.
So there we go.
All right, good enough.
So Chuck, I want you to talk about the first one on our list, which is A House of Dynamite, which is going to be available on Netflix beginning tomorrow. We're taping this on Thursday. So
Right.
Tomorrow, the 24th of October, everyone should be able to see that. Is that correct?
That is correct, and everyone should see it as well.
I agree.
It's heavy lifting.
Oh.
It is not inspiring in any way, shape, or form. All it inspires is fear, as it should.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of this film. Film is directed by Catherine Bigelow, and there were two movies made in the 60s, came out in the same year. One of them everyone knows, Dr. Strangelove.
Mm-hmm.
Another movie that came out. I'm sorry, what?
I have a poster in my basement for that one.
There you go. Another one was called Failsafe.
Mm.
And they were both based on the same novel, but where Dr. Strangelove was darkly comic, Failsafe was dead serious.
Oh.
And I kept thinking of that as I watched House of Dynamite.
Interesting.
Very much the same scenario, though House of Dynamite is constructed much differently. And I got to tell you, I think that what Bigelow and the writer Noah Oppenheimer do here is very daring, because they take the same scenario and play it out 3 times as they walk up the chain of command from 3 different perspectives. And I'm thinking, as a storyteller, how are you going to pull that off?
Right.
And keep me interested when I know after the first time what's going to happen. And I'll be damned if they don't pull it off wonderfully. Every time the story is told from a different perspective, the tension builds and the anxiety builds. And the premise and the situation is really quite simple. A nuclear missile has been launched, and a neat little plot device saves them from having to blame any country, because, of course, Netflix doesn't want to assign this to anyone. But a missile is launched, and there is a fort in Greeley, Alaska, real place, and they are the first ones who monitor or see anything like that. Initially, the people there think it's a test, but then they use, and there were phrases used throughout this that I didn't know what they meant initially.
Right.
But they talk about the trajectory flattening. Once it goes up in an arc, once it hones in on a target, it starts to flatten in its descent, and you can
Oh,
figure out where it's going. And that's
okay.
exactly what
Okay.
happens.
I missed that. I saw
Uh,
the term that they put out. They were really good about putting the acronyms up and then telling us what those acronyms
yes,
were they stood for, but maybe not what they meant. I didn't understand that one, so thank you.
yeah. So the whole scenario plays out in 18 minutes, and it goes from missile launching to it landing, and they determine that it's going to land in Chicago of all places.
Yeah.
We see these first responders and how they try to stop the missile and what they do. And then the second telling, we go to the Secretary of Defense, played by Jared Harris, and he is talking back and forth with a missile command center in Kansas. And Tracy Letts is the head general there. They're alerted as to what's going on, and they try to deal with it. And then finally, the third telling of this story is from the perspective of the president, Idris Elba, and what he has to do as far as dealing with all this. I have a feeling you and I were thinking the same thing while watching this. I'm watching this movie, and all these people seem to be sane and competent
I know.
and and doing their best.
Yeah.
I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, okay, if this were to happen today,
I know. Yeah.
I know exactly what would happen with those dumb fucks that we have in Washington and how this whole thing would play out. And to me, that was the most terrifying aspect of the entire thing.
Yeah, you and I were thinking the same thing for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I was at a press conference there in New York for this, and it was one of the most interesting Q&A sessions afterward. And one of the things that came out of this was apparently the president, they run through this scenario once. They tell the incoming president one time when he's coming in, okay, if this happens, this is what's going to happen. And that's it. That's the only time they address it. They don't run through this scenario like once every 2 months just to make sure it's fresh in everyone's mind and everyone knows what to do. They go through it once, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that I thought was terrifying too.
Yeah. There's a lot of terrifying aspects to this movie. I think though, from and I, this is an extremely well told story, as you said, and I think there's some storytelling elements that Catherine Bigelow and then the writer Oppenheim take advantage of in such novel and creative ways that even though this is not my style of story as far as like the content, it scares the shit out of me. I
Right.
don't like to be scared about reality. There's enough scary stuff in reality. I don't tend to watch movies or enjoy watching movies that replicate that. But this was done with such finesse and such skill that
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching. There was
No, it
no,
sucks you in.
oh my God. And then, you were talking about it tells the story from three different points of view. And it does go from the lower level of people, being the watchdogs, if you will, and then up to the next level, the decision makers, up to POTUS and Idris Elba's playing the president.
And Bigelow during the press conference said, chain of command. We're working up the chain of command.
Yeah, yeah, and they do that, and I thought it was really interesting. Every time we heard the story told from a different perspective, they had to have three different styles of cameras filming this because I can't imagine they would say the same thing three times. I don't know. Did they talk about that?
She did not talk about that. There is an interesting article in today's New York Times in which they talk to a guy who's an insider and an expert on this. And he
Okay.
said that other than the thing I mentioned about them not being able to tell where the
Yeah.
missile comes from, he said everything is exactly right.
Oh, oh,
He wrote a book about this, what would happen.
oh, wow.
And apparently they had pictures in the book of this missile command center in Kansas.
Okay.
And he suspects that they looked at the pictures and replicated the set. He says
Wow.
because it's exactly the way it should be.
Okay. The other thing, storytelling wise, is when they tell the story from the three different perspectives, each perspective gives you a little more information, a little bit more behind
Yes,
the scenes stuff, especially when we get
yes.
to the level of POTUS and the third
Oh,
rendition. And we see, is it the Secretary of Defense? Is that who?
yeah.
And he's got the daughter that lives in Chicago. Oh my God,
Yeah,
my
yep.
heart breaks. And I think, with this, the way they tell this story and they give that additional information about these different characters at these different levels, that allows you to connect with each of them. And then you put yourself in their shoes. How would I respond? What would I do?
Right. And that was the whole trick to me once I realized what they were doing of how they are making it more tense and engaging, even though I know what's going to happen. You're right. Adding that information makes all the difference.
Yeah, I thought this was a brilliantly done film. I am so sorry that I wasn't able to make it to that press conference in New York City. That had to have been unbelievable to watch this. Did you see this at the theater, the Paris Theater in New York?
No, they screened it in a hotel that had a screening room. We've been
Oh,
there
didn't they?
before.
Okay. Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I can't remember which film it was we saw there, but we've been there before.
Okay. Okay.
And I tell you, it was silent when the film was done.
Oh, I bet it was.
I
I
heard,
bet it
heard
was.
pin drop in the theater. I want to mention one guy in the film, an actor I didn't know about, a guy by the name of Gabriel Basso. And he plays the Deputy National Security Advisor. And I think he gives the best performance in the movie. This is the guy who's in the car with his wife
Yeah.
who's pregnant,
Yes.
and he's got the cell phone and he's walking, and the cell phone is going in and out. He seems to be the one who has the most pertinent information on how to handle this. And he actually ends up on the phone with the Russian president. And that scene to me just, God, it was great.
It was. It was.
Because, he's trying to be official and professional, and then his humanity comes through. And yeah, this actor, I'd never heard of him before, Gabriel Basso. He really knocked it
Really?
out. I'd never heard of him. He knocked it out of the park for me.
Okay. I saw him at Sundance for The Kings of Summer.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was in that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's been in quite a few things. He was in Juror Number Two. He was in Hillbilly
Okay.
Elegy, which I even hate to mention.
So
Um,
I've seen him before.
yes,
That.
yes.
Okay.
He actually he stands out to me because he looks a lot like my nephew Farzan.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy how much they resemble one another.
Okay. So every
But
time you see him, it's your nephew.
it is, yeah, exactly. And but yes, his performance was great. Everybody's performance was authentic. I felt like I was really watching this happen in real time.
Yeah. Also, Rebecca Ferguson, Jason Clarke is
Yes.
in it. Anthony Ramos from In the Heights. Yeah, great cast all across the board. And again, heavy lifting. It's not going to make you whistle a happy tune, but I can't recommend it more highly on Netflix starting tomorrow. I really, really liked it.
Yep. Absolutely. We agree. We both agree on a 4 stars on a movie rating. Crazy.
Can we make it two in a row?
Yes, we can because we are going to talk about Blue Moon.
Stop
Ha!
singing. Stop. Stop.
We
Stop.
reviewed this morning on CBS 58 out of Milwaukee, and I promised Chuck that I wouldn't sing for that, but I didn't make any such promise for this.
We want people to continue to listen.
All
So
right,
keep
all
that in
right.
mind.
You
Okay.
got a good point. All right, I'll stop.
All right.
I'll stop. This was also brilliantly done and a unique tale about someone that I didn't know about. And I love musical theater. I love musicals. I love theater. I love live theater productions. And I can't believe that I didn't know Rogers and Hammerstein. Rogers actually had a partner before Hammerstein. He had Lawrence Hart, and I had no idea about his story. And I think because his story was so short. They were partners together. They gave us songs like My Funny Valentine, Isn't It Romantic? And I won't sing it, Blue Moon. Although I did look up the lyrics and I was singing it before I went on the show this morning. Um,
Good for you.
it takes place back in 1940. And in the movie, it stars Ethan Hawke as Lawrence, or they call him Larry for, I guess, adoringly. And it's all about his final year. More specifically, it's about an after party to celebrate the opening of Oklahoma with an exclamation mark. I thought that was hilarious how they brought that with an exclamation mark all the way through the movie. That was a thread that stitched it together. Larry, though, wasn't a part of this production, and he's kind of sad about it, kind of jealous, kind of uneasy, feeling left out. You know, his
Yeah.
emotions are just in turmoil. And so he goes to Sardi's, where the party's going to be later. And Sardi's, for those of you who don't know, is a famous bar in New York City. And I don't know if it's still a thing or not. It used to be back in the
It,
day.
I, it is. I looked it up last night.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
And he sits down and he's talking with Eddie, the bartender, played by Bobby Cannavale. What a great job he does in this role. He's kind of refined, reserved, understated, yet authentic. I don't know. He just had this
Yes.
persona about him. He's trying to be he's a bartender. He's trying to be your friend. And he was
Yeah.
definitely being Larry's friend. And he just continually listens to, well, actually, Larry tries to talk with anybody and everybody that'll listen. And since it is the bartender's job to listen, Eddie's listening. And he
Yep.
hears all about his woes, his trials and tribulations, his abilities, his current situation in love, and how he got screwed, and with his business situation, and how can Hammerstein be taking on a new partner and everything, or Rogers take on Hammerstein as a new partner. And this sounds like it's a rant, but it's not. It is beautiful. It's so eloquent the way he talks about his life. He's very flamboyant. He's very dramatic. He's very short also. And
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
that's kind of a funny little thing that goes, no pun intended, that goes along with his woes as well. He's in love. All he wants to do is talk about Elizabeth, and he's buying her flowers, and the way he gets the flowers to give to her. And their relationship is quite comical as well. But he's not just, he thinks he loves Elizabeth. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But what Larry really loves is to be noticed, to be loved by others, to be adored by others, to be recognized by others. And he doesn't feel like he's ever gotten the love that he deserves. He needs to be in that spotlight. He looks in every corner of the room, everywhere, to be recognized. To me, it's a poetic yet sad but yet wildly entertaining type of story. And I loved listening to Ethan Hawke. I think this is Ethan Hawke's, this had to be his dream role. This is
Yeah.
this felt like a live theater production. Um, he had 90% of the lines in the movie,
Yes.
and
Yes.
he took it and he ran with it, and he carried it like nobody else could. The pacing is super fast, the language is eloquent, yet they never felt like they were being condescending. They brought in other characters like E.B. White. Now this, and we find maybe the beginning of Stuart Little. I don't
Uh-huh.
know, maybe.
Uh-huh. Yep. I think so. Yep.
But this is not a factual story. This is a hypothetical. What might have happened the night of the opening of Oklahoma? Because this is how this alcoholic but talented, brilliantly talented man might have felt. Um, I loved it. I had so much fun. I think the production value was incredible. I think the acting was extraordinary. Cinematically, it was beautiful. Editing was perfect. The pacing was great. Dare I say, I think it was flawless. Can I say that?
I think so. Yeah. The script is by a guy named Robert Kaplow. It's only his second script, and it's the
I
best
know.
script, best thing I've heard this year.
Yeah.
So, like you say, incredibly smart. And you think that a guy just sitting there talking for an hour and 40 minutes would be boring as hell, and it is so far from that. Yeah, I loved every second of it as well. Yeah, Hawk kind of lives. I've never been too impressed with him.
Really?
The only thing I really, really loved him in was First Reformed.
Oh my gosh. That was one of our top movies also from a few years
Right.
ago.
And he did an incredible job there. He does an incredible job here, but in a completely different way. he should win the Oscar for Best Actor, but unfortunately he won't because the movie's just going to be too small and not enough people are going to see it.
And you
But
don't
for me to say that about a guy who, I could take or leave, that's the highest praise I can give.
you don't think that Linklater is a big enough name to catapult this one a little during Oscar time?
He might. Sony has got to get behind this and really push it. I hope they do. I really hope they do because, yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, it would be nominated in multiple categories, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But
Right.
and this is our job. Our job is to point out these ones that are going to fly under the radar,
Right.
and that's what we need to be doing with this. I loved it as well.
It's interesting. We started off talking about A House of Dynamite, which is all about nuclear war. And this movie, Blue Moon, takes place in 1943. And what is the guy's name that plays Knuckles? He's the pianist.
Right, right,
Jonah
uh,
Lees. Jonah Lees.
right.
And he is on leave from fighting for World War II. Actually, he teaches some skills for World War II, but he talks about people going off to war and being home, and his mother's concerned about him. And then Bobby Cannavale has to defend the fact that he didn't enlist because of his eyesight. And people kind of look at him like, yeah, right, you shirked your responsibility to your country.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the
yeah.
sentiment is so different and they also talked about the Great War, World War One,
Like
and
World
how
War One.
yeah, say again.
Yes, World War One. They would think they talk about 35 million people dead.
Yeah, and there's nothing great about that. The word great should never precede the word war. And then, just
Right.
talking about how things have escalated into talking about nuclear war. And mankind doesn't change, So
Nope.
this was a totally different type of movie, but they did mention war several times, and it is set in 1943. So yeah, I think everyone should take a look at this. This is playing in theaters. Take the time to go see it. It's a beautiful production. It would be worth seeing on the big screen. Please see it and tell friends, write reviews, get it out there, get the word out there.
Yep. 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 I agree. I agree. One that does not need the word to get out on is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Okay, we're going to disagree on this one.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Ah.
all right. Well, this will be fun then. Hand That Rocks the Cradle, remake of the 92 thriller. It appears on Hulu starting this week. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who needs to eat something, plays the mom who brings in the nanny, played by a young woman named Menka Monroe. If you are familiar with the cult horror film It Follows, you would know her. She's got some problems, the nanny, but of course we don't see them right away because we're just so grateful to have the help. But it soon becomes apparent something's not quite right. She starts to turn the two little girls, the two daughters that Mary Elizabeth has against her. She starts feeding them sugar which they're not supposed to have. Ah, and also just other, underhanded type things, ruining a meal so that everyone gets sick. All these kinds of things to undercut mom, but we don't really know why until obviously the big reveal in the third act. Um, I'm going to let you fill in any gaps here because I got to tell you, I had a lot of problems with this.
Okay, I thought it was better than the first one. The first one to me wasn't memorable. Is it because it's been so long, like 30 plus years, maybe? Um, I I liked how they revealed things slowly. They only gave you enough information to make guesses, and I felt like they hooked me and they kept reeling me in to learn more about each of their secrets because I thought it went one way with Caitlin when in fact it went another way. Um, I thought it was smarter than the first one. And I really loved seeing Caitlin, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who unravels in a very methodical way and what felt to me like a believable way, like starting to question her own sanity and what's happening and being gaslit by this smart, young, conniving, manipulative woman. I can tell you have something.
Winstead's the best part of the movie.
Okay. Okay.
No question. She's great. No doubt. No doubt. Well, for a thriller, it didn't thrill me at all.
Okay.
I thought the tone was just kind of meh. I mean, I didn't feel as though any sort of suspense was being built. I
Really?
thought it was too long. The character, the husband, I mean, a fence post could have played that character.
Okay. I'll
It's
agree
so
with you on
underwritten.
that one. I will agree with you on that.
I
Definitely.
mean, guy does nothing at all. It's like she could have been a single mom and it would have been fine as far as this film is concerned.
Yeah, you know what? That probably would have been better because he did
I
not
mean,
add anything to it. I will agree with you on that one.
yeah, yeah, and not the actor's fault as all. Raul Castellano. I mean, it's just an underwritten role.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't
Uh,
have a whole lot to do.
yeah, and neither do the friends either. And hey, hello, a little gross there on the whole DNA thing on how they figure some things out. I could have done without that as well.
It
Uh,
was a little violent for me. It went a little overboard. I don't remember the first one being that violent. Do you?
I never saw the first one.
Oh, okay, okay. Rebecca De Mornay. Okay,
Yeah, and Annabella Sciarro, I think.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, we're gonna disagree on that one. I think that one's worth seeing. I liked how, and I'm reviewing this actually on Sunday's Racine and Me, and the other movie that I'm reviewing on that on Sunday is After the Hunt. And both of these movies have to do with trauma and healing and what happens when when you bury that, you put a band-aid on something that goes much deeper. And that's what I feel like this movie does is it highlights the trauma and what happens when you don't appropriately address it.
Okay.
Check
All
it
right.
out on Hulu and let us know if you're Team Pam or Team Chuck.
Yeah. And the great thing is on Hulu, if you're watching it and you don't like it, you just turn it off.
This is
Yeah.
very true.
You're not losing any money. It's move on to something else.
That is true. Very, very true. Do we have anything else on the agenda today?
I saw a crappy horror movie named Shady Oaks. Skip that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's about it. But like I say, we got a lot of stuff coming up in the coming weeks, and I'm hoping that it's going to yield some very good movies.
I have hope that it will as well. In fact, Frankenstein is one of those movies that we'll be reviewing probably next week.
Yeah, as well. And yeah, we've got also, what was that name? Is it Anniversary? Is that the name of the
Is
Diane
that
Lane
next
film?
week also?
Yep, it is.
Awesome. Good. Have you watched it yet?
No, I'm going to get to it this weekend.
All right. You call me after. Okay?
Did you finish it? Because I know you stopped it about halfway through.
I stopped at 3/4 of the way through because I was so upset and traumatized. I watched the rest of it. I am so glad that I did. Yeah, there's a part of me that wish I hadn't because, like House of Dynamite, it's just too real.
Uh-huh. All right, I'm looking forward to it then.
All right, you guys, you can check out realtalkwithchuckandpam.com. That's REEL talkwithchuckandpam.com for all of our reviews on everything that we've seen, interviews, and all sorts of stuff. Maybe even a sourdough bread recipe. I'm getting better at it.
All right, well, good. Good for you.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And until next week, we'll save a seat.